Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. After all the recent important lightweight UFC fights that have taken place recently, I wanted to put together a matchmaking video basically telling you guys who I think all the notable names at lightweight should fight next. So first I'll start with Charles Oliveira, who won the vacant lightweight title back in May of this year. He fought Michael Chandler in absolutely one of the best two-round fights I've ever seen. For Charles Oliveira just to get beaten so badly in that first round, almost finished, and just to come out in that second round and knock Michael Chandler out in like the first 30 seconds. What an amazing performance. And I think a lot of people already know the fight to make for Charles Oliveira. His first title defense should easily be, without a doubt, against Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier was the interim champion going in against Khabib back in 2019, lost, bounced back against Dan Hooker, and then 2 wins against Conor McGregor. I think without a doubt he deserves a title shot. He deserved a title shot before he most recently beat Conor at UFC 264, which a lot of people want to take away from him because of the injury. But even if you ignore this most recent fight, I think Dustin Poirier is the most deserving guy for a title shot right now. And who doesn't love that fight? If there's someone who doesn't love Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier for the lightweight title, please comment down below because I need to know your reasoning. I love that fight. The guys match up so well. It's such a close fight skill set wise. Both guys super well rounded. I favor Charles Oliveira, but not by much. I think Charles Oliveira probably gets it done, but both guys are so well rounded. Dustin Poirier is so durable and has stamina to go for 5 hard rounds. We've seen it time and time again against Max Holloway and others. And I think Charles Oliveira is a guy, and you guys heard me talk about him on my channel multiple times. He is a guy that every time he comes out, he is better. He's improved. And that's something I really look for in fighters, a guy that is consistently improving. You don't want to see a guy stagnate. Every time he comes out, he's the same fighter he was last year. And Charles Oliveira is that guy. I mean, a lot of people going into that Michael Chandler fight were questioning his heart. If he gets hurt or he faces adversity, he packs it in. And that just simply wasn't true. Charles Oliveira got hurt badly in that first round, and just to come back and finish Michael Chandler in that second round. What an amazing fight. I love that fight for both guys. And hopefully maybe Michael Chandler can bounce back and eventually maybe we might be able to see that rematch because I would love to see that fight again. So moving down the list, obviously I've already went over Dustin Poirier. He should fight Charles Oliveira. Then you have number 2, Justin Gaethje. And again, if you've been following my channel, you know who I want to see Justin Gaethje fight next. It's Michael Chandler. There has been some talk. Michael Chandler said that Justin Gaethje has turned down the fight. That may or may not be true, but I think inevitably this fight will happen. It's the fight to make. Michael Chandler is currently ranked number 4. He's coming off the loss to Charles Oliveira, but Charles Oliveira is one of the best in the world. And who would not love to see Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler? I know some of you guys might have not followed Michael Chandler in his Bellator career, but he was in nothing but exciting fights. Win or lose, the guy always goes out there to fight. He has crazy power in his hands. He's super athletic. And Justin Gaethje's coming in. He has not fought since October, the October loss to Khabib Nurmagomedov. And I think he needs a good win to bounce back. I think Michael Chandler would be a good, solid win for him. And I would love to see that fight. I think it's super exciting. I think it's super fan-friendly. I think it's a great opportunity for Michael Chandler to get back into the win column. And I think it's a great opportunity for Justin Gaethje to get back in the win column. And I just don't see how that fight could be boring. I would love that fight. I'm dying to see that fight. If the UFC does not make that fight, I don't care what they need to do to make that fight. That is egregious because there's never been a safer bet to make. There's been some speculation, Ali Abdelaziz manages Islam and Justin Gaethje. There's been talk of, Islam wants the Chandler fight and maybe, he's trying to, so Gaethje doesn't have to fight Chandler. But I just don't think that's true. I think, maybe there's some timing issues. I know Justin Gaethje has complained in the past that the UFC will call him up with fight offers and not give him a full training camp. So maybe that's the case. He said in that interview, I think it was back in January or February, he said he's not accepting any fights that he doesn't give him a full training camp anymore. So I think eventually we will see that fight. I would love to see that fight. I know a lot of you guys would love to see that fight. So hopefully that gets made relatively soon. So moving on to number 3, Beneil Dariush. So there's a couple options for Beneil Dariush. Islam Makhachev has been talked about. But Beneil said after beating Tony Ferguson in his last fight that he kind of wanted to sit out till around December, January area till he fights again. So I'm actually not going to give him a matchup right now because I think he can wait for some of these other matchups to play out before he kind of picks his next opponent. Ranked at number 3, there's so many matchups, but it's crazy. I think right now in the rankings, 1 through 10 is not matched up. None of these guys have fights right now. So I think Beneil can kind of wait it out. He doesn't want to fight till the end of the year or early next year. He can wait for some of these other matchups to play out and then look for an opponent from those winners. So next you have Michael Chandler. Obviously, I already matched him up with Justin Gaethje. Number 5, you have Islam Makhachev. I think Islam Makhachev probably doesn't deserve to be at 5. At least from what I've seen, he has not beat the caliber of opponent to be ranked number 5. But he is, so it is what it is. Regardless if he's number 5 or number 10 or number 11, the answer is the same for me. And it's been booked, I believe, twice, and it just has fell through for one reason or another. I need to see number 5 Islam Makhachev versus number 7 Rafael Dos Anjos. This is a fight that is finally going to test Islam Makhachev. Rafael Dos Anjos is such a well-rounded fighter, and he always takes the toughest fights. We've heard time and time again, Islam Makhachev, people are turning down Islam Makhachev fights. RDA is not that type of guy. He's taken on Robbie Lawler in his prime. He's taken on Colby Covington in his prime. Kamaru Usman in his prime. Rafael Dos Anjos takes the toughest fights, and he will take that Islam Makhachev matchup. There's already been rumors that that's the fight to make. There's already been rumors it might happen in October. So we'll see what happens, but I love that fight because Islam Makhachev looks really good, but he hasn't beaten anybody yet. And Rafael Dos Anjos would be a massive win. He was a former lightweight champion. He's a quality opponent. We can really gauge Islam Makhachev's skills with a win over Rafael Dos Anjos, and we can see if he's the real deal or not. And then he could potentially be one more fight away from a title shot. But I wouldn't be surprised if he beats RDA if they give him a title shot right afterwards. They're trying to build him into a star. They're trying to replace Khabib with Islam. So we'll see, but I think that is the fight to make. So next you have Tony Ferguson. So you guys already know, if you've seen my recent video, my dream matchup for Tony Ferguson is Nate Diaz. I just would love to see that fight. Stylistically, it would be an absolute wild fight. Both guys have unlimited stamina. But hypothetically, if that fight doesn't come to fruition, which I'm not sure if it will or won't, I want to see Tony Ferguson fight Dan Hooker next. And if Tony Ferguson's able to beat Dan Hooker, I want to see Tony Ferguson fight Conor McGregor when he returns from his leg break. I think that would be a great fight for Tony Ferguson. I think it'd be a great fight for Conor McGregor. Tony's currently on a 3-fight losing streak right now, and he needs to rebound against somebody, and I think Dan Hooker's that guy. Dan Hooker, I believe, is on a 2-fight losing streak. I know he most recently lost to Michael Chandler and then Dustin Poirier, but I'm not sure about before that. But I just really think that's the fight to make. Tony Ferguson versus Nate Diaz. If that doesn't happen, Tony Ferguson versus Dan Hooker. But regardless, the winner out of Tony Ferguson or Nate Diaz, or if Tony Ferguson beats Dan Hooker, I think he needs to fight Conor McGregor in his return. So there's Conor McGregor's matchup. I think Conor McGregor needs to fight either Nate Diaz or Tony Ferguson in his return, but I want to see those guys fight between now and then. So that's the entire top 9 and then the champion. And then you also have Gregor Gillespie. So Gregor Gillespie, it's really hard to find him a matchup, especially considering I just booked the top 9. But hypothetically, if Tony Ferguson ends up fighting Nate Diaz, like I hope he does, and I think the UFC needs to make that matchup, I think the fans would love that fight, and I think that would be a huge fight. You could have Gregor Gillespie take on Dan Hooker. I think Gregor Gillespie has looked promising, but he's not fought any top opponents. So I think the Dan Hooker fight would be a fun fight. I think, we could really see if Gregor Gillespie, and Gregor Gillespie, even though he's relatively new to the UFC, he's a guy that's an older guy. So it's now or never. And if he can get a big win over Dan Hooker, then he puts himself, into that space of potential title contenders. He would still have some work to do in the lightweight division, and the lightweight division is so filthy. But I would like to see that fight. You got so many great guys at lightweight right now. There's so many great fights to make. Gregor Gillespie, I know this would be a step back, but I wouldn't mind seeing him also fight maybe Brad Riddell. I think that would be a great fight as well. Brad Riddell is coming in off that most recent win over Drew Dober. But there's the entire top 10 matchups that I would like to make right now. Beneil Dariush is the only guy that's going to be sitting around waiting, to see how some of those fights I gave you would kind of play out before he picked his next opponent. But he said he doesn't want to fight till the end of the year or early next year. I think the fight I'm most looking forward to, and I wouldn't even mind, all these guys are on kind of the same time frame. I wouldn't mind, and I've seen this somebody speculate about this on Twitter. The UFC the UFC in the past did like an all heavyweight pay-per-view main card. Imagine an all lightweight pay-per-view main card. Give me Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier at the main event. Co-main event, Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler. Third fight down, Islam Makhachev versus RDA. Fourth fight down, Tony Ferguson versus Dan Hooker. You know, they could just build an entire lightweight main card. It would be an amazing fight card. I don't think that's going to happen, but I would love to see it. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about these matchups. Let me know, am I crazy? Is there something I'm missing here? Is there something you'd rather see rather than what I said? And let me know, what is your favorite fight that I just proposed to you? Make sure to like the video. I appreciate you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.